Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Tour Catch Up,
18-year-old Lilli Tagger takes her first WTA Tour title.
Sinner leads the withdrawals from Canada Masters.
And Djokovic and Sabalenka team up for the US Open mixed doubles.
Kim, Chris, today is the 27th of July, and we are here to catch up on the week in tennis at Tennis Weekly HQ. On today's episode, we have got some incredible stories from the ATP and WTA events in the last week, headlined by new teenage sensation Lilli Tagger announcing herself in Prague. Quentin Halys, the Frenchman, as well, ending a 14-year wait for his first ATP Tour title. We'll be getting into that. Jack Draper is also back on the title hunt with coach Andy Murray in Washington, D.C. We'll be talking about that in the second half. Scheduling is also a hot topic over the last few days, with the fact that Sinner and Djokovic are the latest names to pull out of the Canada Open. We'll be talking about that. The LA Olympics dates have also been announced for 2028. I wonder what Wimbledon will make about this. It starts just 3 days after Wimbledon finishes in 2028. We'll be talking about that. Prize money as well is rumbling on, with Roland Garros announcing they will give players a share of revenue, the complete opposite to what Wimbledon have recently said. So yeah, lots and lots to talk about. And actually, guys, I've got a confession to make, maybe on behalf of us at Tennis Weekly HQ, because last week we were getting into wedding season. Katie Boulter, Alex de Minaur, Tommy Paul, Daria Kasatkina. I forgot about Asia Mohammed.
How could you, Joel? How
Joel.
could you?
And you
I'm
forgot
sorry.
Samsonova
my hand up
again.
there.
Wow. Samsonova also. Yeah. But also on the subject of weddings, literally as soon as we finished recording last week, all the Katie Boulter, Alex de Minaur Tuscany wedding content was unveiled to the world. And we realised they did actually get married in Tuscany, and they had two weddings.
You've said that from the off, haven't
I
you?
said it from the off. I knew it was going to be in
One of your
Tuscany.
predictions,
Over a
wasn't it,
year
Kim?
ago. Yeah, this is another Noskova prophecy.
Yeah, but I mean, it looked nice, very tastefully done, I thought.
So can someone just explain, why wasn't one wedding ceremony enough?
So she had the first one in Leicestershire because her grandfather wasn't able to travel to Tuscany, so she wanted him to see her get married. So yeah, but that was a really small gathering, very sentimental. But
so it was the main event in Tuscany.
Oh,
yeah, with all the tennis
it
players
was
in
quite
attendance.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the images. It's one of those weddings where you just think. I mean, it looks like a fairy tale. You know, some of the images. You know, the classic cars, the drone shots, fireworks. There was quite a few players who say there as well. So I think it was worth, skipping a week on tour if you got to go to this party.
I think that was the wedding of the tennis calendar of the year. But,
Is that the winner, you're saying?
I think so. Yeah.
Was this the Tuscany 125?
Yeah, they played it around the corner.
Sounds like there were enough players to make a tournament of it.
I probably could have done, yeah. But yeah, we enjoyed looking at all the wedding pics, but I think everyone's now back to business. I mean, both Katie and Alex are in DC, so they haven't really had time to have a proper
third wedding in DC.
moon or anything.
Weddings on tour.
But they are not in the entry list for the US Open mixed doubles, which, breaking news, has just literally been announced, half an hour or so ago. But yeah, we thought Katie and Alex might be on it, but they're not. But we do have leading partnership of Novak Djokovic and Aryna Sabalenka. What do you make of that one?
Oh, that's good, isn't it? I feel like they've done so much back and forth. They're clearly good friends, that this was the inevitable conclusion to, the battle that we've seen. I think the dance battles are over. They'll be dancing together. I think that'll be quite nice at the US Open.
Is this Djokalenka or is it Sabakovic?
Sabakovic.
That doesn't sound. I think Djokalenka.
Djokalenka is better.
Sounds like a dessert. That one, like a Djokalenka.
Djokarina is quite nice, even though it's breaking the rules there.
I actually just need to jump forward. I know we're going to be talking about prize money, but do we think Djokovic and Sabalenka are going to take to the court? Because Sabalenka has been one of those players about the prize money, about the boycotts, about potentially boycotts in the mixed doubles at the US Open. So in theory, she could, if she were going to follow through on that, we wouldn't actually get this partnership.
Yeah, and that's just for context. That's because there was a group of top players refusing to play the mixed doubles if the US Open doesn't comply with prize money demands. But
I mean, the fact that she is in the entry list already, does that suggest almost like kind of, well, she's almost sort of missed the moment?
No,
Or
there
are
have
they
been
teasing
conversations that have happened already. So I think based on what was reported, the conversations around prize money in the US Open have been happening. So I guess that maybe they're happy with what the commitment might be for future iterations of the tournament. But because I think there's no way she's going to leave Novak Djokovic hanging. We're not going to have, a Jannik.
Or leave the tournament organisers hanging as well.
Yeah, exactly. But especially like defending champion, she can't pull out. I think she will take to the courts. There's some quite fun returning players, I was going to say. I mean, we feel like we've only seen Jack a couple of times since he last played with Jessica Pegula, but they're back. I think, are they defending? Is it a final did they get? Or was it a semi-final?
I think they got to the final because Irani, we actually had like a doubles team, didn't we? Legit doubles team. Irani.
Was it Casper and...
I think Ruud and Swiatek got to the final.
So defending semi-finalists.
Yes. And Irani and Vavasori were the defending champions. They're in it as well.
And they are, legit proper full-time doubles. But we've got Henry Patton and Katerina Siniakova in this year. So I feel like they are in contention for the other kind of justice for doubles moment.
I mean, I could already just see a doubles specialist final.
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, Siniakova doesn't have a great record of playing it either because Jannik Sinner, I think he was on the entry list. He didn't know it. He was paired up with Emma Navarro last year. She then pulled out to play the week before. And then he was paired up with Siniakova. Then she pulled out, so he was partnerless. Is that why he's not on the list? Or do you think he is actually sticking to this potential prize money situation going on? Is he one of the players who hasn't been satisfied? Or do you think he's just so burnt by last year where he couldn't find a partner that he's just completely sitting it out?
I think... I mean, I remember I've been in press conferences when he's been speaking about this, and it has been very lackadaisical, I think, from the Sinner camp, which suggested to me that it was like, I'm not totally invested in it. Maybe a bit fun if an option came along in the way. So perhaps from that perspective, maybe he's just like, this is not for me, and maybe I'm on the cautious side if I want to have a deep run in New York.
You won Wimbledon without a warm-up. Maybe he doesn't need the mixed doubles. But anyone on the list that you're missing? I'm missing Carlos Alcaraz and Emma Raducanu. I think probably you don't know if they're going to be fit for this one.
I think Alexandra Eala's got the wrong partner.
Oh?
She is on the list with Felix Auger-Aliassime. Surely there was a big opportunity to partner up Eala with João Fonseca.
That would two young guns together.
Imagine, Arthur Ashe would be, people would be queuing out the doors for that one. So who would you pair Felix with? Are you just kicking him out the tournament, Joel?
And Boko might not be fit. He could have done an all-Canadian pairing.
Dabrowski, they won a bronze medal together.
I would have liked that. That would have been quite nice.
That could be good. Anyone who you're going to predict to win the title right now, Kim?
I mean, Taylor Townsend, Sasha Zverev, that could be... I don't know how they're going to get on, but Taylor Townsend, obviously top doubles player. That could be interesting. I'm going to go for Irani and Vavasori to defend. Early prediction, calling it now.
Go on, Joel.
I am going to say
Jack.
Stearns and Stearns.
I think Irani and Vavasori are going to defend their title.
Oh,
everyone's going for that.
Is that the boring answer?
I'm going to go for... who should we go for? I'm going to go for the couple, Nuno Borges and Elena Gabriela Russa. I think they're going to... Love will find a way for that one. Okay. If they get in, actually, maybe their rankings won't get them in, but... Andre Rublev won a gold in the mixed doubles before at the Olympics with Pavlyuchenkova, playing with Grand Slam champion Mira Andreeva, also a silver medalist at the Olympics. That could be a very formidable pair. So I'm changing my answer. Go for them.
Townsend Zverev as well. Townsend also very accomplished on the doubles court. So that could be one to watch, I think.
Well, Kim did just say that.
We will get into that closer to the time.
Maybe I just zoned out. You're
looking at the list.
You're so busy thinking about...
You're like, ooh, I've spotted a name.
I was just thinking about where I was just actually thinking about Naomi Osaka and Kei Nishikori. I had a random in my head. I was like, hang on, I thought Nishikori had retired, but he hasn't retired just yet.
Not officially, no. Well, we've been veering slightly off course with the recent news because that just came out, but we weren't originally going to be talking about that today, but we thought we absolutely have to delve into who's in the draw. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Djokalenka, or whatever we're calling it. But what else caught your attention over the last week on tour? Joe, I'm going to come to you first.
Well, it is also doubles related news, and it also involves Alexandra Eala because she was scheduled to play Washington, D.C. with Venus Williams. And I was very much looking forward to this. I think a lot of people were. But at the 11th hour, the partnership was withdrawn and was no more. And Venus Williams actually got repartnered with Deanna Schneider. Eala was taken out of the draw. And the last I heard was Venus Williams with a very diplomatic response saying, oh, I hope we can play again in the future, because they played Bad Homburg a few weeks ago. But yeah, all very sudden and abrupt, it felt like.
Just binned Venus off.
What happened? Yeah, what happened here? And also, Venus Williams not had much luck with doubles partners of late.
Oh no, Serena obviously pulled out of the double. Didn't get to play at Wimbledon in the women's doubles. So, I mean, she is in the draw.
Does no one just want to play with Venus?
I don't know what's happening. I guess singles is the priority. She's picking some really good players who are singles players as well. So maybe she needs to ask some of the top doubles specialists to play with her and kind of guarantee that she will get the partner she wants. But I mean, she did say, Eala, that it was to do with the fact that she didn't have the capacity at the moment to be able to give that both singles and doubles. So maybe it's to do with it. A lot of strapping at Wimbledon. It could just be, doesn't want to get injured too soon, doesn't want to play too much.
Do you think it's a smart decision for her? Because yeah, she has, she has been in quite a few doubles draws. Do you think it's now at a point, given what happened at Wimbledon, that she should just focus on the singles?
I mean, it could be that case. I think she's not playing doubles every week. In hard court, you don't necessarily need to play doubles to get back into the rhythm of things. It's more of like a grass thing that you see people playing. So maybe it served its purpose before, but it doesn't really serve its purpose, moving on to the hard court, where I'm sure she's been practicing. And she's not looking to win a doubles Grand Slam title. I think she's saving
herself for the mixed doubles.
Or the USA for mixed doubles.
Yeah, I mean, Venus isn't on that list, is she? I've just suddenly realised she's not.
Nor Serena.
Because that was a rumour that it would be Sinner, Serena, Alcaraz, like Venus at one point, but clearly that didn't happen.
Well, no, can't have it all. Chris, what caught your eye on or off the court last week?
I mean, this is one for Joel, I think. Berrettini was spotted in Pasha in Ibiza, up in the booth with Peggy Gou. So,
is that his new girlfriend?
Who is Peggy Gou? Sorry,
should we know her?
She's very famous. I
feel like my instant. Well, I feel like I'm starting with zero credibility. Anyway,
I mean, maybe I'm the youngest on the pod, so I'm keeping you young. But she's a very popular sort of DJ, sort of music artist, and she actually played the Australian Open, and she sat in Carlos Alcaraz's box. So there were question marks as to whether they were dating.
When you say play, you mean DJ, not on the court?
No, she didn't play the Australian Open. I was
going to say, I was like, is she a junior?
We are bringing the coolness of the pod down to HQ this evening.
Yeah, game, set, match, Peggy Gou. It doesn't quite work.
Because the Australian Open has DJ sets. Whereas Wimbledon obviously has nothing like that.
No, that doesn't happen at Wimbledon.
They might have a brass band.
Yes, exactly.
One day.
They just have Cliff Richard in the rain delay. It's not quite the same.
Yes, it's not.
Yeah. But no, so he was up there and he was doing this sort of dance where he's almost taking his shirt off up there. So I think he was having a great time. But now there are rumours that based on their Instagram content, they might be a couple. So watch this space, and maybe between now and then I'll send you a few Peggy Gou tracks. Okay. Maybe she did one with Kylie you might like.
Okay.
Joel. I thought that's right up your street. Okay.
Yeah, I think Joel's quite a Kylie fan in his spare time.
Kylie Rosé.
Yeah. Oh, that is quite nice to be fair. Yeah. I'm currently looking at the back catalogue of the Naughties Top of the Pops. It's on any listeners in the UK. BBC iPlayer they're doing like Naughties.
What was it last week you brought up? Britney was on.
Yeah, and I've just been doing Daniel Bedingfield. Got to get through
wow.
this.
Honestly, you got to
Peggy
get
Well,
through
we've
this
got to get through the podcast.
Daniel
Yeah.
Bedingfield. I didn't think we were in for that transition this evening.
No, well, I'm going to transition into what Dominic Thiem is currently up to. I
As
don't know
you
if anyone
do.
follows him on Instagram.
I mean,
but
this
he
is just as
announced-
unexpected for me.
I know, some great news. So he is playing professional professional sport again. Actually, no, I don't think.
Kim, you're saying this
it's
like
amateur.
you're sort of skeptical at the offset.
You're the
for
one who
this.
saw this story, Kim.
Well, Dominic Thiem has joined Badener AC, an amateur football club that competes in Austria's 8th division of football. So I don't know what the equivalent of that would be in the UK or
It's
England.
below the conference, isn't it?
Below the conference.
Yeah, is that
but
professional level?
Sunday League?
Well, it says it's an amateur club, so he's
Playing in
probably
the
playing
park?
Sunday football. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, he's going to be playing football. I mean, he doesn't really need his wrist for that because obviously that ruled him out of tennis. Sadly.
So he's pivoted.
I was kind of thinking, what position would he be playing for his new club?
PR?
Well, not goalkeeper,
person.
based on his
Centre
wrist
mid?
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like
Definitely.
We
he's
can rule goalkeeper
yeah,
out.
goalkeeper is out.
Midfielder?
But it does say he's not guaranteed a place in the starting lineup. And I thought, surely if you go to the 8th division, you're doing that to
Surely
get a
they
spot on
want
the
to sell
lineup.
tickets.
Yeah,
See
so
Dominic Thiem on the football pitch.
but then I do think that Ed Sheeran was signed to Ipswich at one point, but there was obviously no expectation for him playing. But this isn't quite the same sort of stakes here. So, I mean, if he does play, Kim, will you keep us updated? Can you promise?
I
people?
will. I will start following their results, and we'll do Badener AC results every week. Shall
How
we?
would you watch that? Are you going to fly over?
I don't know. I need some work,
if
but
there's a challenger near there, you could pop on over.
Yeah.
I mean, Vienna's always a good idea. I like Austria, great country. So,
Well,
but talking of
yeah.
Austrians, that is a nice segue actually, because they have got, forget Dominic Thiem, they've got a new tennis star in town, Lilli Tagger, 18 years of age. She has won her first WTA title in Prague last week, the 250 that was on outdoor hard court there, beating Daria Snigur in the final. Now, Tagger, she won the junior French Open last year, the girls singles. She's the youngest player in the top 100. So this is kind of a real breakthrough win for her now. Sort of not a lot of people would actually have heard of her unless you're kind of avidly following junior winners, etc. But she, came from 5-2 down in the first set to get the job done, 7-6, 6-2. Yeah, good stuff. She's coached by Francesca Schiavone. Is that a route for success, do you think, Chris?
Well, I
Having
mean,
Schiavone behind you?
one-handed backhand legends. I feel like it's a great partnership there, and I think she's definitely someone who got the most out of her game. You know, physically, she was always such a physical player, Schiavone. So I think that will really set her up for success, especially, you know, when you're younger, your conditioning is so important. But she's really is a player to be excited about, and I think when players have a big breakthrough like this, it does kind of make you think, well, so much focus is on just a few players. And actually, there's so much talent coming through. And there were a few rumblings at Linz. She had a good run. I think that was in April. She took out Badosa and one of your favourites, Samsonova, on the way to the quarterfinal before she went out to fellow Austrian Potapova. But she's done a few things here and there. So I think a lot of people were expecting things from her, having, you know, done so well in the juniors. But I was not expecting to take out Krejcikova. I think that's the standout win of the week. That was a real epic, and the quality was really high. So I think she did kind of spoil the Czech party that we were predicting. We said surely there'd be a winner because they were 1 to 5 seeds, or was it 1 to 7 seeds? It was even more than that potentially. Yeah. And she really did kind of ruin the party for them. But we're very happy to see, you know, young talent come through.
Yeah, that Krejcikova semi-final she won in the last set tiebreak. Great effort. And some fantastic wins throughout the week. But I mean, she does have a single-handed backhand, and I mean, if she gets right up to the top of the game, we don't see that very often on the women's side or at all, you know, anywhere really. So, I mean, could she be maybe like thinking way ahead, getting really excited here? Future world number one? Are we talking sort of that level possibly? Do we think could she be, you know, the first single-handed, backhanded world number one since, Justine Henin, perhaps?
Wow.
Or Joel, do you think there's a possibility that could happen?
I personally think it's very tough nowadays, given how far, you know, the women's game has come on to yeah, to be at the very top with a single-handed backhand. I certainly think she can be in the conversation. I think for me, I just wanted to see a little bit more of how, she develops. I think she's got a great game with her other shots. She's got big serve, great forehand as well. But I don't know. I'm wondering if the single-handed backhand at the moment is something that could stop her, perhaps go higher in the rankings,
hindrance,
help her reach the top. I mean, Chris, where do you feel, does a single-handed backhand still have its place at the very top of the rankings?
I think it's definitely tough to come through. I think you can see that a lot of people have decided to go for the double hander. I think technically it is an easier shot to teach and it's more reliable. I think we've seen kind of, the flaws of that coming through for some players at key moments, like Tsitsipas on the men's side. On the women's side, I think actually it is an advantage as opposed to on the men's side where I think you really have to have a supreme level of skill. I think it can give her a lot of variety, give a different ball to some of her opponents. I think that's a very interesting thing because we get a lot of monotonous sort of baseline grinding that happens and upsetting the rhythm and having the freedom to hit some of these shots, because you do get more freedom to hit different shots, angles, different spins. So I think I really like seeing it. I think we don't see enough of it. But then having said that, I mean, I was trying to think who else does have a one-handed backhand on the tour right now. All I could think of was Tatiana Maria. That's definitely one.
Golubich.
That's a good one. There's a French player as well. Is it Diane Parry?
Yeah,
Does
Diane
she have
Parry,
one?
I think also. Yeah, it's certainly not as frequent. Certainly
Not quite
upper
slam
echelons.
winners, but you could pick on the grass, particularly effective. Those players have done really well there. But I mean, either way, a bright future, and I think it's exciting when you get one of these open draws that kind of comes out with an unexpected winner.
Yeah, and a lot of people love single-hand and backhand. So go check out Lilli Tagger. She's 44 in the world now, so we'll have to see what she can do from here. But yeah, fantastic first title for her. And we had the Hamburg event as well on the WTA Tour. This was a clay event, and we had Tamara Korpatsch winning that one, beating Anna Bondar in straight sets in the final. It's the first German champion at home in Hamburg for 34 years. Any guesses for who won it 34 years ago?
Doesn't it? Has it been happening all of those 34 years?
Oh, no, it hasn't, to be fair. It had a hiatus from, I think, 94 to 2021. So actually,
so
about half that time.
That's a fake headline.
Right, okay.
But Steffi Graf had dominated for about
single-handed
6 years.
backhand. They're coming back.
Yeah. But Korpatsch, her second WTA title there. So she's up to 46 in the world, her best career ranking. So great stuff for her. She's not a spring chicken anymore. She's 31. So
is she? I didn't know
she's
that.
Older than
actually.
Kekmanovic, actually, Joel. So,
the match of the year that I tuned in for, we've got to talk about it. No disrespect to the final, but the Badosa rematch versus Maya Sharif. What a match. I'm never getting those 4 hours back. But at the same time, it was riveting given what went down before and the fact that Badosa was even standing given what happened withdrawing 2 games from the end last week.
I wanted to ask you about that because Badosa retired very close to defeat in the final of her previous tournament against Sharif. And I sort of asked on the pod, is that on so close to defeat? The fact that she came back to play Hamburg this week, played, retired and then effectively played again a few days later. What do you make of that? Is that on for someone who retired then to just go and play a tournament as usual, like a few days later? And was it sort of just desserts that Maya Sharif did come out the victor again?
It's tough.
It's not a good look, is it? But the body can do recovery things in Badosa's defense.
I think it's a pretty bad look. Getting through a couple of games, I think, to be honest, it's probably the nature of the way that, Maya Sharif plays, that players don't love playing her, I think is definitely, can be quite infuriating. She really is a very tenacious player. I do think the desire for Badosa to still play is because there are ranking points and there was a good chance for her to get some more before she heads to the US. It is a case that you have to manage injuries, and the type of injury she has, you do get times where like it can flare up. So I guess that's the benefit of the doubt. But was I surprised, Joel? Yes. That then she could do a 4-hour match the following week.
Exactly.
I thought there was no way she was finishing that match, and she did. So hopefully that means there's nothing too serious from the previous week.
Yeah, I mean, she had 3 matches ending in that defeat in the quarterfinals it was. So yeah, well, we'll see if that happens again. But yeah, we don't know all the backstory, do we? But yeah, it doesn't look the best. But Sharif, I'm sure, will be very delighted to have got the better of her twice, however she's managed to do it. And let's have a look at the ATP tour now, because we had some 2 French winners actually, including Quentin Halys, who in his 14 years on the ATP tour has finally picked up his first tour title, beating Bublik in the final in Kitzbühel, the clay event there. So a long time coming, but Halys has finally got it done. 6-4, 7-6. Good things come to those who wait. Is this the start of something? Is he going to end up like the new French number 1? Are we going to be, rounding him off Halys Weekly, do you think?
Halys Weekly, wow.
Halys Weekly,
well,
why not?
I mean, he's had a great I think he's had a great season. I mean, his serving in the final was exemplary.
Ridiculous.
I think he started the final with 7 consecutive aces, 17 aces in total. He really kind of took the match at times out of Bublik's racket. I think he was handed some help in that tiebreak in the second set. There were definitely some questionable shot choices from Bublik, but great run from Halys. I think he made the best of quite a soft run to the final if you compare his route versus Bublik.
He took out Vachereau. I mean, that's not a bad victory.
Vachereau just coming back from injury, I would say.
Still,
I'd say the Navoni result, perhaps in straight sets, I was more impressed with, perhaps. But good result, a good result for him in the final, and who knows? Maybe he could be the next French number 1.
Oh, really?
Or could it be Luca Van Assche?
I was going to say there's a lot of them we're talking about today.
There's a lot of them circling.
Yeah. Luca Van Assche beat Alexander Blocks in a 3-setter to win Estoril, 6-4, 4-6, 7-5, just shy of 2.5 hours to get his first WTA ATP.
Now that would be a story.
That is something, yeah. But yeah, Luca Van Assche, still quite young, 22 years old. He, was maybe a bit more promising a couple of years ago. We've sort of forgotten about him, but he is now in the top 50 as a result of this. So yeah, another one up there trying to get up to challenge. But as we know, there's a lot of them. But yeah, any thoughts of Van Assche? I think Blocks was a bit tired from the semi with Dalderi in fair, but he tried his best to get it done. I mean,
that match, Blocks Dalderi, I think Blocks was like a set and 5-2 down. It was one of like the comebacks on the tour in the year so far. So incredible for him to get to the final in the first place from such a position. But yeah, you sort of felt like it took its toll on him. You're going into it, but having said that, they still put on an absolute show. I think it was a really entertaining, matchup. But again, Van Assche took out the top seed Rublev, who won the previous week and carried on good momentum. I mean, Hugo Gaston as well in the semi-finals. It was a good week.
Haven't had that in a while, have we? I mean, we were saying it's hard for him to get any match wins this year at all. Yeah. So it doesn't make this week look like it's the strongest week on tour. No. But it's good to see, Blocks obviously had that withdrawal at the French Open. Not sure about whether there is a lawsuit or not, or how that's going. But either way, it's good to see that he's bounced back and he's fit again and ready for the hard court swing.
And more notably, perhaps Stan Wawrinka has now officially played his last clay event, because he was in the draw here in Estoril. He lost in 3 sets to Roman Burachaga. But apparently Stan has requested a wild card into the main draw of the US Open. He didn't get one last year, but this is his final year. So do you think they're going to give him one? Would you give him one, Joel?
I think so. I think based on, I mean, I would, based on what he has done for the tournament,
Well, he's
having
won it,
won it
right?
previously. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
former champ.
yeah, but I'm just surprised that I don't know what the situation was last year. I don't know if he formally requested last year and he didn't get one, or what happened there. But I think based on the fact that he's won it before, I would make an exception. And we've seen him at Grand Slams this year at the Australian Open, put on a show for the crowds on the outside courts. And again, I think that is an asset for for the USTA. And I think he's still an entertainer on the court. So I would give him a wild card.
What about Bencic and him? If she swaps out her partner that she's got at the moment, Bencic and Stan in the mixed doubles could be quite nice. I was also going to say, we were trying to see if he was going to get anything else on this farewell tour, if that pattern, the famous Stan shorts pattern would come back. He actually got his own footprint in clay given to him, and a tribute where kind of everyone wore a Stan mask. So not the Stan shorts, but I'm thinking, couldn't that be nice if everyone was given, the shorts to wear as a...
That's sort of giving Hindu vibes. Sorry, just them all wearing a mask of his
I'm
face.
envisaging like 20,000 people on Arthur Ashe in Stan masks. That is more of my nightmare, I think, than a dream.
Yeah, it's not sounding great. I don't think I made that sound as uplifting as he probably felt. But yeah, we're still looking for wherever that pattern rears its ugly head again.
Well, I think he should play in those epic shorts one last time at the US if he's gets to take
to make a deal to get the wild card.
We'll see.
I'll bring back the shorts.
Well, let's take a quick break now. Do join us in the second half where we'll be discussing the LA Olympics, announcing that their tennis event will start just 3 days after Wimbledon in 2028. I mean, that is madness. Roland Garros saying they're willing to give players a share of tournament revenue as prize money. And we'll be looking ahead to the hard courts events in Memphis and DC, including Jack Draper returning with coach Andy Murray. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast. And let's kick off the second half, as always, with a game. Joel, I think it's over to you, and I think it is a path to the courts this week, and not a very difficult multiple choice quiz. No more Wimbledon.
We're having part 2 of my Wimbledon quiz from last week.
Help us.
No, we're not. No, don't worry, listeners. You can breathe a sigh of relief. We are putting that away. Maybe it will return though at the end of season quiz.
Goodness,
but
I'm thinking, don't let it be. What could it be? If I'm guessing, is it French players inside the top 50?
Oh. It could have been.
I've mentioned 2 already.
It is not that. I sort of want to ask you to say to you that this is a one to do together, because this week Aryna Sabalenka became the 10th women's player to reach 100 weeks as the WTA world number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to ask both of you whether you could name every player who is above her in terms of number of weeks at world number 1 in the right order.
Oh,
honestly,
that's an added layer of difficulty.
Yes, I thought it might have been too easy just to ask you for the players. So I was going to suggest...
Do you think it would be?
For Chris, maybe.
I'm a bit nervous at this. In order,
I was going to suggest in order from the top, and I was going to give you I was going to give you a life actually, because I know this is quite tricky.
I feel like this is maybe the trickiest we've ever had. I think we could name quite a lot of them, but we can try in order. But can you also set a par for us as well, just in case we don't do it?
Well, actually, I'll give you the choice. Do you want to try the order, or do you want to just have it as an open, the 9 players above Sabalenka in the rankings?
Let's aim for first to last, but
okay,
but
if we make, was it 7, you'll be happy? Not in
7
order.
Total.
I was going to say if you could do the first 5 in order, I would be very impressed.
I think this will show us up, or show me up. I think this.
But I would like you to start at the very top
of the top.
Yes,
this is open era,
and this is from 1975. So no, like Billie Jean King, for example.
Right. I think.
I mean,
Steffi Graf is the top
Is she
one.
more than Serena?
I think she's way more
Okay.
because she had years where she was number
dominated.
one.
Yeah.
But then she wasn't playing as long.
No, I think Steffi Graf
I think
is
Steffi Graf,
probably
yeah.
the best. Yeah.
That is correct. Very good.
Oh, well done.
377 weeks.
Only 4 more to get, Kim.
As the number one. So you're off to a good start. Steffi Graf is number one. So the next player I'm looking for in the number 2 position, I'm going to give you the number of weeks. I'm feeling generous here. 332 weeks.
Oh, so it's okay. Not that far off.
I think it's going to be
Is it Serena?
the top names I'm thinking of are Serena, Navratilova, and Evert. I think Evert's probably the lowest of those 3.
Oh.
But Serena or Martina,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So we go
I'm
Serena?
going to tell you now, it is one of those 2.
What, Serena or Navratilova?
Gosh, this is 50-50. Flip a coin, Kim.
Serena?
We'll go Serena.
That's like 6 years, isn't it? Over 6 years. But obviously it wouldn't have to be consecutive.
Serena?
Yeah, Serena. Yeah.
I'm trying to read Joel's body language. He's not giving us anything, is he?
It's incorrect.
Oh no, sorry.
Yes. You've lost your life.
Well, we got the next one right then.
But
is it
who do you think?
Navratilova?
It's not Serena. Therefore, who is number
Martina
2?
Navratilova.
That is correct. Yes, Martina Navratilova, 332 weeks. In 3rd position with 319 weeks.
Oh,
Serena.
it's not far off.
That is correct. Very good,
Okay.
Serena Williams. So now we're on to 4th place, 260 weeks.
I think
So
it's got to
that's
be
about
Chris
5 years.
Evert. It has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is correct. Very good. So Chris Evert, that's your top 4. So next, 209 weeks, 5th on the list, all time.
Who are we thinking?
Where does Hingis come in?
I feel like Hingis is a good guess.
Would she have done that many years?
I don't think it's going to be like
It's not
Artie
Enan.
or Enan. I don't think at this stage.
No.
How many weeks was it again?
Venus.
209 weeks.
There's no way.
Davenport.
No.
Shall we say
I think
Martina
Hingis is a good guess.
Yeah.
That is correct. Very good. Kim coming in clutch there. But yes, Martina Hingis is number 5. So you are halfway there. Now it gets tricky because, yes, next player, 178 weeks, and you've lost your life. So
this is Joel, we remember.
Yes.
Right.
And I think you've made par. I think we said par was 5. So you have made par.
I'm thinking.
So it's about 3 and a bit years.
I still don't think it's Iga, Barty.
No.
Or anyone like that.
What about
Monica Seles?
I was just thinking Seles, but her acts, the incident.
She was so dominant before.
Yeah, so she could have racked it up for. Should we say Seles?
Yeah, it's not a Venus or Davenport. There was nowhere near.
No.
Monica Seles?
Yeah.
That is correct. Very good.
Well done,
Monica
Chris.
Seles, 178 weeks. Okay, 125 weeks.
Can I ask? Can we be naughty and ask what the one below is as well?
So we've got 3 left: 125 weeks, 121 weeks, and 117 weeks.
Okay, we're just guessing now. These are all so close.
You have actually said all the 3 players left.
So Halep,
it's the order.
So it's got to be. We said Enan.
Barty.
We said Barty.
Oh, Enan.
And Iga will be
Enan
then.
more than Barty.
So what order are we going to say?
I would like you to tell me the order you think that those 3 names are: 125, 121, 117.
I would probably go Enan.
Enan, Barty, Swiatek.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Enan, Barty, Swiatek, please, Joel.
It's incorrect.
Oh.
What was it?
Ash Barty in the middle was correct with
Okay.
121 weeks, but it was Iga Swiatek at the top with 125 weeks.
Really?
Justine Henin, 117 weeks.
Well, I mean, if Ash had just not announced her retirement, it would be above Iga, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We would definitely be adding some more weeks on there. And then,
But still,
as I mentioned, Sabalenka at 101 weeks. Just a bonus question for you and our listeners. There's a player on 98 weeks, very, very close to 100. 98 weeks. Who do you reckon it was?
Not Sharapova.
98. What era is this?
Azarenka.
Wozniacki?
No.
Is she up there?
No.
Wozniacki
Safina.
71, Azarenka 51.
I just went Safina, but it's not going to be her either then, is it?
It was...
Lindsay Davenport.
Oh,
It was Lindsay Davenport.
Was it?
But Kim,
did I-
you said like 4 answers before we got to Lindsay
Well,
Davenport.
she
I
did say
know.
Davenport earlier, and I told her no, so I think she gets something for
That's
that.
only 20 weeks off. Yeah.
I don't
So
know
there
if we
we go.
won or lost that, but I feel like we did okay, Kim.
You did
I feel
well.
like I've
you did well.
learned a lot. So thanks, Joel. Listeners, how did you get on? Let us know.
Did you do it in
we're getting
order?
the right
Yeah.
order? Yeah. But thank you very much. And now we're going to dip into the mailbag. We have Johnny emailing us this week about the Canadian Open, which is having a bit of a mare, I think, at the moment. He said, hi, Tennis Weekly. With so many top players missing the Canadian Open this year, including Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, and Aryna Sabalenka, do you consider it now the weakest Masters 1000 event on the schedule? And do you think there is any way they can make the event more appealing to players? Or is it just a victim of its placement in the tour calendar? So thanks, Johnny, very much for your question. Just for context, we have had all of those players mentioned pull out. So it does mean that a lot of the stars are not in attendance, which is not great. Obviously, some injuries are in action. We don't have Alcaraz due to that still. We've had, Karolina Mukova also pulling out. She's had to have surgery after Wimbledon. Home favourite Mboko, obviously she's injured as a result of something she picked up at the start of the grass at Queen. So yeah, a bit of a bad circumstances with injury and it coming after Wimbledon and also kind of ahead of the US Open. So is there anything that could be done in future to stop this? Or is it just sort of a bad amalgamation of circumstances? Chris, you're nodding.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately, it's not the first time this has happened. We've seen a pattern that when you do elongate the Masters and you pack the schedule, players are choosing one of the two. I think we've seen this with, Madrid and Rome. We've seen this with some of the other schedules that happen around, I think it's like Doha and Dubai for the women. I think the only one that people really do both for is the Sunshine Double. I think it happens very, very frequently that in the lead up, you don't want to play 3 Grand Slam draws back to back towards heading into, the US Open. So it doesn't make sense to play that much tennis. And I think you can prepare for the US Open without playing, well, unfortunately, in this case, it's the Canadian Open, but Cincinnati is the one that they prioritize. It's a bit closer, you get a bit more of a break. It kind of all works out a bit better for you from a scheduling perspective after Wimbledon. And if you want to work on something, you can. So I think it unfortunately isn't going to change. I'm not sure what they could do.
Pay them a lot more money.
Yeah, exactly. Or if it was shorter and it was a 1 week, I think that would change things. I think that would appeal to people. But as long as you've got the 2 week format, and it's the first year they're doing it, I think, actually. I just can't see it. I can't see it working.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can think of is the ATP coming in and being very lot stricter with players withdrawing, even if they don't necessarily have an injury. I think you kind of looking at some of those names like Sinner and Djokovic, one of the big appeals I think for players playing these sorts of tournaments is the ranking points available. But when you're in a position like Sinner, with so many ranking points already in the bank, Novak Djokovic as well, chasing Grand Slams, not really at a point in his career when he's bothered about adding more Masters titles to his trophy cabinet. Again, it sort of weakens, I think, the appeal of Masters events, particularly when they don't necessarily have a role to play. Historically, Chris, as you mentioned, this is a tournament that hasn't really had conditions that seem suited to building up to New York and the US Open, especially compared to somewhere like Cincinnati. So I think the only way something can change is if the ATP come in or the tours come in and become much stricter on players being able to withdraw, but I just can't see that coming in. The schedule is so brutal. I think the players need to have some sort of flexibility. And although it weakens the event, I think it's understandable from these top player perspectives.
You can't make them play it. I think we're seeing more players take control of their season, irrespective of what the ATP or WTA would say to them. I think that's a luxury top players can choose. And the positive is that some players will make some more prize money lower down, but it shouldn't necessarily have the same status if you don't have the same sort of caliber of draw that are going there. I guess the only thing that
Could it move?
I'm not sure how that would work, because we're getting another Masters in Saudi Arabia coming in sometime around the Golden Swing. So we're only getting more of these events. And that's the issue. But I was going to say, if Jannik Sinner's not playing it this year, when will he play it, given the fact that he had the chance to go and win all of the Masters 1000s this year? Do you think this is sort of the fallout from the French Open, where he played too much tennis, going into Roland Garros, that he's really trying to make sure he takes more of the Wimbledon approach of not, playing everything under the sun before you go in, because it didn't help him in Paris?
Yeah, I agree. I think I just remember last year, I think the Canada Open organizer said, like, I had a plan with, getting top players to play. And I think this year, I think there has been an extra week, I think, between like Wimbledon
there's one more week this year.
But it does. But the fact that even
that hasn't helped with that extra
really
week.
Changed.
No, they've liked the time off. They've all got married.
Yeah, it's not really changed things. I mean, it does kind of suggest to me, I know the Canada Open has a lot of history, and a lot of players do love playing it. I think as an Andy Murray fan, it was one of the events he had some of the best success in. But do you think the fact that all Masters are now essentially becoming mini Grand Slams 2-week events, does it mean actually we need to make a bit more room and actually have less Masters events? And is the Canada Open needed? Is it surplus to requirements, given we just don't have enough time for it?
Well, it's against what the ATP are trying to do by building up these tournaments and kind of removing some of the smaller tournaments or upgrading them, like they're planning to with the Golden Swing. So maybe it could become more of a Washington type event with the men's and women's together. That could lift it. That could provide some appeal for people to play it, especially if it is 1 week that you commit. So I'd like to see them show a bit more flexibility, because it's not clearly working for all the tournaments in the same way. Upgrading, you do have thousands that are higher in status and in attendance. So I think that's one to look out for. I'm not sure there's a quick fix. And I think, with more 1000s coming in the future, it's not going to get any easier. So I think there'll be conversations had between the organisers, because it's not the best license they have in this sort of busy period.
It's a very competitive landscape. And I was just worried that it wasn't called the Rogers Cup anymore, because that's how I know it. But it's officially the National Bank Open, presented by Rogers. So Roger's still involved, which is great.
But it's not his cup anymore.
It's not his cup.
The cup is, I always thought it was Roger's cup. The actual,
yeah. Let's also talk about French Open prize money. We mentioned prize money earlier in around the US Open mixed doubles, and the sort of talked about boycott. Some of the top players maybe boycotting that. If the US Open prize money wasn't going to be to their liking. We think the mixed doubles is going ahead, that they're not currently boycotting based on the fact we've got that entry list, but that still remains to be seen. We don't know what may happen between now and then. But we have had some news on the prize money front from the French Open recently. They have become the first Grand Slam to kind of announce that they are willing to commit to this revenue sharing model, which the players have been sort of demanding, rather than getting like just your set amount of prize money. They want it linked to the revenue of each Grand Slam tournament, so that when the revenue rises, they're going to get, the subsequent increase. What do you make of this? Do you think this will go, will this satisfy the players? Do you expect other slams to follow suit now that we've had this news?
I think it's interesting as a model. I think they are talking about these percentages. It's clearly very important to them. The fact that a lot of the top players are playing the mixed doubles when there was talk of a boycott makes me think that the US Open is set to announce, a record-breaking amount of money. They do tend to pay that, very high. They do tend to move the mark quite early, especially when it came to the equal pay side of things. So I think it's probably because these conversations are happening with the slams that there is development in these areas. And I think we will see the revenue sharing model come into play more. I think where it comes into being a bit tricky is like, where do you set that percentage? Because obviously, I think it's a nice model in the sense that the more successful the tournaments are, the more successful the players are as part of that pot. There's a lot more that will be discussed, but I think it's nice to see that the more they do for the tournament, the more they'll get, and maybe it will help grow the sport. But at the same time, I think, they are making so much money. I think it is just, it's one of those things where I'm not sure everyone wants to hear about it forever, that
more,
because especially, when the tournaments do get bigger, then there will be, even more opportunity, especially with Fan Week, to make the money. But I mean, it's not bad, is it?
I mean, I suppose also sometimes the tournaments are going to have to invest in infrastructure, and they're not going to, they're going to have to take some of that revenue out to invest in other things. So they can't, it might have to be a year by year rather than we're going to commit, for the next decade, because they've got their own plans for where the tournament needs to go. And they're going to have to sometimes, take stuff out for that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not obviously on the ins and outs for their finances, but Joel, I mean, what's your sort of quick start for 10 on that?
I think for me, what's interesting is the timing. This to me is like the first time, like a Grand Slam has kind of truly listened to what the players want in terms of the model. And I think the way that it's been timed between Wimbledon and US Open, I think it's put pressure on the other Grand Slams, because at the moment, I think the way they've announced it is they've kind of gained a favor, a kind of curried favor, I think, with these top players who are asking for this. And perhaps it will be interesting to see, what the US Open does, whether they do follow suit or whether they have their own model, because I feel like Wimbledon were completely staunch opposites to the idea of this. And, the fact that Wimbledon and Roland Garros are now on opposite ends of the spectrum, where's the US Open going to be? I think we're getting to a point where again, there's not a lot of consistency between the Grand Slams. And I think the Slams are arguably using this to their advantage, the way that the Roland Garros has, to me, strategically timed this to come out right after Wimbledon. I think it makes this tournament more favourable to these players.
Yeah, look at us. This is what we're doing for you. It's almost, they should be more aligned rather than
battle of the slams
each other. Well, so yeah, another battle within tennis. But I mean, we'll have to see how it develops. US Open, I think, will announce at the beginning of August, I think, its prize money kind of offering. So we'll have to see.
I do think the Grand Slams, that I think they will be nervous around boycotts, but also just disruptions to their event. And perhaps there is a little bit of, we want to do this, so our time in the calendar is not complicated by anything unforeseen or unpredictable. So perhaps, the fact that they've said this with such a long run up to the event can give them as much certainty and clarity for everyone really involved, that can hopefully make it as smooth as possible.
Do they know the US Open's going to follow suit and they want to be the first slam to announce it? That's literally what it sounds like. Otherwise, you can't think why they would do it right now. Or
do you think Wimbledon would change their stance if 2 of the 4 Grand Slams said we're adopting the player revenue model?
I don't think they would succumb just because of that reason. I think there would need to be a significant case that they thought players were actually going to do more than just, stick to 15 minutes. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's the US Open's going to commit. That's my prediction. As we've said, the US Open's going to commit to either the model
and a higher
to predict and a higher percentage, percentage than Roland Garros will. But I mean, either way, there's a lot of these tensions. The Olympics are also at odds with Wimbledon as well.
Wimbledon's got other things going on.
Yeah, they're fighting every battle.
I know. Well, that brings us on to the 2028 LA Olympics, because they've announced.
We're a bit early, aren't we, with
schedule. This? We're 2 years early.
Breaking
in 2
news.
years' time. Well, we'll know roughly who's won the Olympics, but they're due to take place, the tennis event, from the 19th to the 28th of July in 2028. But it's only 3 days after Wimbledon ends, or 4 days for the singles tournament. Really, really tight turnaround. It's never normally that close between Wimbledon and the Olympics. But they are bringing the tennis forward. I mean, I suppose it's only if you get to the Wimbledon finals or semi-finals that it might affect you more, but it's still not great because players aren't going to know how they're going to do at Wimbledon necessarily. I mean, some could have a good guess that they're not going to go that far, but it's a bit close for comfort, isn't it? I suppose there's not really anything that can be done about this now. It's all been decided, but do you think it will lead to some players maybe, if they're really prioritising the Olympics, will they skip grass? I mean, what's Novak Djokovic going to do? Because do you think he's bothered about the Olympics? He's got what he needed.
Oh, he's so bothered about the
he's
Olympics.
He's got a gold medal.
Does he want his gold in doubles now, do you think?
I think defending his title is one of his biggest things. You know, I think that's huge for him. And I also think it's huge, you know, playing for his country. He talks about it a lot. I think this could be like the final time we see him on the court. So I think he would think about his participation at Wimbledon going into this and prioritize the Olympics. I think probably everyone else under the sun would obviously prioritize Wimbledon. I am controversial here, though, because I don't think tennis has a place in the Olympics, personally. I don't think it makes sense, especially when we're looking at, you know, the prize money and the nature of picking and choosing where these players want to play. It's very, very different for the high-profile celebrity of these sort of tennis players. And I mean, the mixed doubles event is an absolute mockery of what an Olympic achievement is, especially now they're doing it in 2 days. It's going to be a US Open probably style mixed doubles event. And it just feels like people train at their discipline all these years, and then you just grab a couple of people and see if you can win a gold medal on site at the Olympics. It feels very odd to me. So I'm not the best person to ask about this because I'll be watching Wimbledon and then maybe I'll have a little bit of interest when it comes to the later rounds. I'll be in Boston. Yeah, there are no weddings in 2028 summer, that's for sure. But Joel, you like a bit of Olympic tennis. Andy Murray obviously has done so well there. What do you think about the schedule?
I always think the tennis schedule in an Olympic year, I mean, we talk about the schedule at the moment, but in an Olympic year, it is even, more absurd. And I think that's why sometimes we get really strange results happen, you know, in the Olympics because of, I think, the scheduling and the fact that there are going to be players going from grass to hard court in a completely different time zone in a very short space of time suggests to me that it could be a very unpredictable tournament and Olympics, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get completely different winners, but I do think it's going to put even more pressure on the top names who I just can't see them, you know, not playing Wimbledon in order to prioritize the Olympics. I think they will try and do both, but
American players, do you think there might be some Americans with LA being such a big focus? Do you think, you know, the likes of Coco Gauff, Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, if all these players are still playing, is there a chance that they might prioritize, you know, Madison Keys, they might prioritize the US opportunity? Maybe it will be a bit more split by, you know, who it's more important to. We've seen that before as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think Wimbledon probably particularly happy about it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the top players will drop out to kind of prioritize the Olympics, but I do think it's going to be a disadvantage for the players who reach the finals weekend.
Might be some more surprise champions. Well, on both events perhaps, but long way to go.
Will Sinner play it? He didn't play it last time.
Surely he's going to want to, as part of his
complete tennis, yes, of course,
long-term completion of tennis video game kind of style mission. But anyway, let's talk about this week, not 2 years from now. We've got the 500 combined event in Washington. Alex de Minaur, fresh off his Tuscan nuptials as the top seed there, with Ben Shelton, second seed. Got Arthur Fils, Fritz, Menchik. Quite a strong draw. We like DC. We like this event, don't we? And then on the women's side, Pegula is top seed with Svitolina, Osaka, and Schneider, who is teaming up with Venus in the doubles. Thoughts on this one? Who's going to come through? Any thoughts on likely winners for either of them?
I'm just very intrigued by the fact that de Minaur's got Stefanos Tsitsipas in the first round
yeah,
because
on a wild card.
Tsitsipas, sorry, has built some momentum recently. De Minaur's sort of had time off for his wedding. It feels like the perfect situation, perhaps, for an upset and the Tsitsipas momentum to keep going.
Well, he's beaten him
Yeah.
this year, hasn't he? So
Yes.
that could be a very good one. I also think I'm really looking at Jack Draper. I want to see what he can do.
You're very excited about that practice set he had with Shelton.
I am. I've almost texted you saying it's coming home, but the World Cup's over.
Too late.
Yeah, too late. But he looked really good. I mean, we shouldn't get excited. I think Joel's been burnt now by predicting him to win everything, despite.
Yeah, please don't predict him for anything, Joel.
He is with
the
Andy Murray, and that was one thing I was kind of wondering about because, I mean, they were there together in Eastbourne, and that was the extent of it. Do you think we will see Andy Murray in Jack Draper's box at the US Open?
In the mixed doubles or in the singles? Well, I think that partnership's going to continue. I don't think Andy's gonna duck out of that before he's given it a good shot. They didn't have the run they wanted to, and he only said positive things about Jack's level. I think he said how he was so impressed. He didn't necessarily know that Jack had the level he was practicing at in him. So maybe they had a really frank conversation and said, if we want to make it go, it wasn't Wimbledon. So I think they will stick around. I think that partnership could work out quite nicely. I wouldn't be surprised, if Andy Murray popped out down under and did a full season with him, because they seem to really enjoy working together if Jack's body is up for playing some tennis.
And you eagle-eyed spotted this, Chris. Jack Draper's on the entry list of a challenger in Indiana. He's not playing the Canadian Open. He is playing the Brownsburg Challenger in Indiana. Sensible choice there, do you think? Get more matches under his belt?
Might be to do with protected rankings as well, and where he wants to use that.
There was something to do with he didn't get into the main draw. So from that perspective, feels smart maybe to play some matches in the lower rankings.
Yeah, I mean,
excellent.
Very lucky if you are in that area. He's a top quality player, and the entry list is not stacked, I would say. I think he's got a good chance there if he does indeed play it. But an alternate on that list, Joel, one of your all-time favourite players, Lloyd Harris, is second alternate right now.
There we go.
But Kim's favourite, Pennington Jones, did make the cut. So maybe you two will be getting a flight and going there.
We will need to update all our listeners on the Brownsburg Challenger when it does happen.
Oh, it's very important.
It is giving challenges, isn't it now?
Oh, like the film.
Yeah.
Murray going to the Brownsburg Challenger player box? Is there a player box in the Brownsburg Challenger?
That's just made me think of the Odyssey. Is Jack Draper's return
the Odyssey
to world number 4,
on IMAX.
His own Odyssey? Yeah.
Goodness, Andy Murray's playing Matt Damon.
Yeah. We've also got Los Cabos for the men. Yeah, Lehechka is the top seed with Darderi, Cerundolo, and Landaluce, yes, and Cam Norrie's in action there.
I swear this tournament is one of Cam Norrie's favourites.
He does love it, doesn't he? I think he's won it before.
And it's because he loves tequila. Remember, he told us that.
He likes a margarita.
Yeah, a mezcal man. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
Kwame Dimitrov first round. That's interesting. Yeah.
That'd be very interesting.
Oh, that's another good prediction I had, wasn't it? Kwame at Roland Garros.
This is not Kim's Good Prediction podcast. Come on. You've had your moment in the sun. Sloane Stephens is over in Memphis. That's what we should be talking about.
That's exciting. Memphis for the ladies. Kessler, Alexandra Golubic with her single-handed backhand, all in action. So that's quite an open draw, I think. I think anyone could really
is
come
open
through that.
Is that complimentary, Kim?
It's
when we say an open
lose.
Draw, Sloane's to lose, yes.
Yes. Okay. We'll go with that. But yeah, I think that brings us to a close for this week. I was hoping Heather Watson would get into DC,
Kim,
but
we got so far without talking.
She was at the wedding,
so
wasn't
close.
she?
3 match points to make the Washington main draw.
That's quite a classic Heather Watson loss for British fans. They'll know what we feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to wrap up, though, our tour catch up here at Tennis Weekly HQ. We hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of action from the ATP and WTA tours as we head towards the US Open. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting platforms out there.
And if you love what you're hearing, be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube.
And you can stay connected with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and X. And the handle for all of those is Tennis Weekly Pod. Or our mailbag is very much open. Do drop us an email, tennisweeklypod@gmail.com, or visit our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we'll be back next week for another tour catch up. But until then, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.